I'm sure he was. Came off the Nankiva Haksharat, landed in a place called Leeds. And I was already old, been in Leeds for a while, I think a year. And we really had the absolute merit, Swiss, of having Sam, and that's why I still say Sam on even Dan. Sort of like you've got to remember all the surnames and everything. But honestly, it's just always been one of those, connections that we have always kept. We just spoke about the dinner at her wedding that Tony Page catered, and I asked for seconds, and I got them. Okay. But honestly and truly, over the years, we just always had this, even if our boys used to fight in the garden and whatever it was. But when people go through, the challenges of life, the amazing thing is that everybody is there and pulls together. And we don't know from one moment to the next what is going to be. But I do know one thing is for sure, that our world has come a lot closer to greeting Mashiach through what has taken place over the last few years. And we all see, what Kunatan was. And when you sat and watched something that nobody ever wants to be at, but to sit and to listen and to watch a levaya that you leave and you say, oh my goodness, what are we going to do that is going to continue to inspire the world? And honestly, I just have absolutely such admiration, and we don't want to be like that in this sense, but when people can rise to do what it is that they need to, we all need to really learn from this. And as we say, we're all in this together. So we want to be there. We want to be there to support, to love. But really, it's in this merit that it's honestly a real pleasure for us. And tonight is Yom Yerushalayim. Tonight is Yom Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is really the place that we are going to ultimately be. And when I thought about that, Sam is here speaking tonight on Yom Yerushalayim, because I didn't really put the two together last week, to tell you the honest truth, when I said that she's going to be here. This is part of what's going to bring our real Yerushalayim back home. We're not going to just be dancing in the streets and doing. We are going to be part of the real Yerushalayim. And this is really, really part of it. So please God, that will be it. And today we had a visitor in Golders Green that, as one of my friends said, like, don't people work? All these people out of work. I was on a Zoom and I mentioned the king was coming. Rebbetzin Silva in Yerushalayim got like very excited, not about being here, about the thought of when we all going to be saying, the king is here, the king is coming, just for that split second, And I am just going to mention, because Nikki came to give Sam a hug, Nikki Manash came to give Sam a hug. I said I'm going to wear the shoes because she's got such FOMO having been invited somewhere else, just because we're going to take. So this morning, honestly and truly, being there and looking and thinking to everybody, just you wait. I thought it was such an exciting moment, because just you wait. There's a feeling of such excitement that this is nothing compared to what is going to be. So with that, I am going to hand over to our wonderful Sam, and please God that literally just focus on the moment and take it all in, and just remind ourselves that we have a whole army up there really rooting for us. So everything that we can put in through this lesson should literally be as a chutzpah Yisrael Natan ben Avi. And her name is Simcha. So she's going to have the ultimate role of Simcha to come.
Thank you. Not like in Israel. I keep forgetting in Israel. keep forgetting in Israel that when they give you microphones, it has to thread like all the way down and back, and you have like these men manhandling you. And then when they realise you're wearing a title, and then you're like, I'll just give it to you. You do it, you thread it. It's lovely to see everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Are you doing the movie, Joe?
Yeah, we're going to do the movie.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
No, obviously. First of all, thank you to the Davis family for hosting. Really, I know Nathan and Gabriel were in Moravivas together when they were 2 or 3, and we made Aliyah when Nathan was 7. My eldest was 9, Nathan was 7, and then Zevi was 4, and my youngest was 2. And every year we'd come back to London, and Nathan would see his friends. Literally, we would get off the plane, we would get to wherever and say, Mom, yeah, give me a lift. And Nathan, we just got here. Like, where do you need to go? Gotta go to my friend. That was it. Like, for the 2-3 weeks it was here, that was where he'd be. Everywhere else, friends' houses, he'd go up and keep account with them. And she basically had the time. That was Nathan. Nathan really did enjoy life. And I also feel that we let him enjoy life as much as I might have tried to rein him in slightly. He wasn't interested. Just wasn't interested. That was just him. He really did take what life had to offer, took it, ran with it, cycled with it, jumped with it, whatever he did with it, he really took it to the full. So obviously we have a lot of connections here. And when we made Aliyah, the reason we wanted to make Aliyah was because we wanted more freedom for our kids. My kids, 3 of them have ADHD. Nathan Frank was the one who didn't have ADHD, but he also didn't communicate very much because he said to me in Yudbet, Mom, I said, yes, sorry, do you know I can't focus in class? I'm like, no, I didn't. You could have told me this, but maybe before, like the end of school. That was Nathan. He only told you what you needed to know when you needed to know it. That I could have done with a little bit earlier, but anyway. So Nathan, he wasn't that keen on school. School was not really for him. In hindsight now, not being able to focus in a class probably would have had quite a lot to do with it. And he occasionally visited school, like every now and again. There's 2 of his friends here, and it was always like a big deal when Nathan turned up at school. Like, it really shouldn't have been. It really should have been, no, Nathan, you're late. Like, but no, it was a big deal. So when Nathan turned up, he knew it was like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. But we used to spend the majority of his schooling waking him up. Like, waking him up. Like, every 5 minutes going in, I used to throw water on him and everything else. Just getting him up. Because he didn't want to get up, because it was school and he didn't like school. But he managed to make his way through school, and Nathan managed to make his way around a lot of things. I always said he was very jammy. He really until he wasn't, but he really was, he just got by on I don't know what. Because he wasn't in school. In Israel, you have to have, what's Nokokut? You have to be there. You have to have, thank you, attendance. You have to have attendance as part of your Bogwood in order to go to school. You have to have been in school 80% of the time. And that really was a bit of a push for Nathan. So he did his Bogwood exams, but then we were told that he wasn't going to you don't get your Bogwood if you've got the attendance to go with it. But from what I understand, that his friends at school basically complained so much to the head teacher about Nathan not getting his Bogwood certificate that she basically had to give it to him in the end. Like, literally, that was Nathan being jammy. That was his effect that he had on his friends. His friends, he loved. His friends, he loved them. And we actually only found out, really, after he died, the type of child that he was. He was a wonderful friend. He was compassionate, caring, listening, which was a huge surprise to all of us at home, because definitely wasn't like that at home. And we found out that if there was someone on the outside of the friend group, Nathan was specifically making an effort to go up, to speak to them, to bring them in, to make them come in. His commander at the funeral spoke, and he said he never knew he could get something from his soldiers. Commanders are meant to be there, slightly aloof. You're not meant to be friendly with them. And that wasn't really for Natan. Natan didn't really care about that sort of thing. So one morning, night, he also didn't sleep very much in the army. It was, I think, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and he went past his commander's room and he saw him sitting there. And so he went in and said, is everything okay? Now, you're not meant to do that. You're not meant to talk to your commander, like they are your friend in the army. But he went in and he sat down and he spoke to him for 2 hours. And the commander said at the Levaya that he never knew he could get something from his soldiers. The commanders always have to give. They're the ones that are there for their soldiers, and to sort of shape everyone into listening to them, which we were a little worried about when Natan was going in the army, because he wasn't that keen on listening to people telling him what to do. So we were a little worried. But he proved himself. He used to often come home and say, how is it? Oh, it's rubbish. Like, what do you mean it's rubbish? Well, we've all got to do this. I said, Natan, that's the point. I said, you've all got to come together with this cohesive group. You've got to be able to listen to your commander. I said, he went in April 24. So I said, it's a war. You've got to be able to think as a group, act as a group, and not think, oh, the commander's really stupid, why are we doing this? Because you've got to be able to listen to him. You've got to be able to follow the orders. So Natan very much enjoyed the army. He absolutely loved it. As much as he didn't love school. After school, he went to Mechina in Yerucham. Mechina is, for those that don't know, it's a bit like the gap year program you have here, but it also prepares you for the army. So it gets you up early, go on runs, stand in a formation, which you're going to have to do in the army, to get them more prepared. And the people in the army know that. They can see the difference in the kids that have been to Mechina as opposed to the kids that have come straight out of school and gone straight to the army. So they very much appreciate Mechina and Mechina education. And Natan, this is where Natan blossomed. There was no school, there was no listening to teachers telling you what to do, there was no lessons, there was no writing down. So he was happy as Larry. He really, really enjoyed Mechina, and that was where he really began to bloom. There was the odd occasion where he didn't feel that the person running Mechina was doing a good enough job, and there were arguments and various consequences, one of which was he decided to go and visit a friend. There was someone, Yerucham is like, south is Beersheba, then there's Dimona, and then there's Yerucham. Like, it's a tiny, tiny town in Israel, still a development town, very low socioeconomic levels. And so all of them decided they were bored one day. So one of them had a car. So a few of them hopped in the car and went to Ofakim, where this kid lived, like for lunch. But no one had told anyone in Mechina where they were going. And they didn't have their phones with them. And we got a call from Mechina to say, we're not actually sure where Natan is. I said, what do you mean you're not actually sure where Natan is? Well, they literally did not know where he was. So they got back. There was a lot of trouble. I think they basically sat the whole Mechina down and got people to, got someone to say if they knew where Natan and these other kids were. And they came back. I said, Natan, did you think maybe that disappearing from Mechina, not telling anyone, in a time when there were still hostages in Gaza, was a good thing? Oh, yeah. So it wasn't really sort of, forward thinking was not really Natan's thing. He lived in the moment, for the moment, at the time. And that's just Natan. So when he went into the army, we were so proud. He was third generation Rosenfeld. My husband was a lone soldier in 1986 in the First Lebanon War. And his father before him has come out of the Shoah, met my husband's mother in a DP camp in Italy. They had a baby, they tried to get to Israel, the British sent them to Cyprus, and then eventually they got into Israel. And as soon as everyone came in, they were just hucked into the army, like all the men were taken. And that was my father-in-law that was in the army then, as was my husband, and then Natan. So, not that there was a lot riding on Natan's shoulders, but he knew, he'd been brought up in a very Zionistic family, that everyone goes to the army. Your dad did the army, your grandpa did the army after coming out of the Holocaust. And that was where his strength came from, because he said, if we don't do it, no one else is going to fight for us. If you're in Israel, you fight in the army because no one else is going to do it for you, as you can very well see from the world around us that we live in now. And there were times when he was in Gaza when he saw the hostages being released. I said, Natan, I said, we've seen it on the news. They don't often have their phones. I said, we saw it on the news. I said, did you see anything from any of the videos? He goes, Mom, I was there. He goes, I saw them. I was like, wow, Natan. I said, that's amazing. Any one of the hostage handovers, he was there. But he didn't really discuss his time in the army. He didn't talk about it when he got home. It was just, that was one part of him. He came home, went out with his friends, came home, and then went back to the army, which I still had to wake him up for. He really loved being where he was. He was in Handelsat Krabi, which is combat engineering. He got to blow up stuff. Like, seriously, every kid's dream, blow up stuff. Plant them, blow them up, walk away, whatever. And he really, really felt that he was doing the job that he was meant to do. He was really there for everything that he'd been taught at home, that he'd lived for, that we were in Israel for. And on the day that he got killed, he was in a place called Jabalia, which is northern Gaza. And what happens is that the Handelsat Krabi go in, but there have been soldiers in before them checking the place out. They had to blow up a house. So there were explosives outside the house. There were explosives inside the house, because when they go and they make a new sort of setup, they have to make sure that there's nothing around them, that there can't be snipers on buildings. So they had to blow up these buildings. So there were kids, soldiers inside the house, nothing was outside the house. There were sort of explosives everywhere. And out of nowhere, as my husband called it, a rat came out of a tunnel, shot an RPG, and RPGs are very crude, rudimentary, sort of shoulder-based explosives, and they're designed to blow up tanks. It hit Natan, full on, but it didn't explode. And the most amazing set of miracles happened after that. And we can only see the miracles. It did explode, not onto the full force. His friend cut his vest off. We got a picture of it. It looks like, literally on his heart, it looks like a flower. The thing, we don't know what happened. The thing didn't explode. And when my kids, when the soldiers came to tell us during the shiver about it, my kid said to me, not Zevi, who's 18 and knows a lot about war and cars and things, he said, Mommy, do you understand how this doesn't happen? RPGs don't not explode. And hitting someone and not exploding, miracle number one. Miracle number two, the 16 other kids around him, in tanks in front of him, his friend and his commander next to him, like everyone went flying. No one else exploded. If the RPG had exploded, there would have been no bits of anyone to come home. That's why soldiers are buried in boxes in Israel, because you don't often know what there is or isn't left of a soldier to come home to. So 16 other soldiers got to go home that time to their parents. Natan, we're pretty sure, got hit outright, so he didn't feel anything or suffer. So miracle number two, 16 other kids got to go home. There was not an inferno in Gaza because all the explosives around him and the house was rigged up to explode. There wouldn't have been anything left of anyone. So that was miracle number two. Miracle number three, you get the choice of whether to see have an open box or a closed box. We decided that we wanted to see him, and we got to see Natan. They kept on saying to us, I didn't understand the rabbis, Yushalem, he's whole. I'm like, yeah, I know, I can see him. Like, he's in the box. And I only understand afterwards that many kids from Handelsat Krabi, because of the nature of their job, they don't get to come home whole. So we got to see Natan. We got to say goodbye. We got to kiss him, and it was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful, and I felt very honoured and lucky to be able to say goodbye to my child. Not that it's anything I ever thought would happen, but it did. And after that had happened, my husband and I decided, I don't know where, or from how, or from what, that this was not going to go unnoticed. There is absolutely no way on earth that this could happen to Natan and no one else would know. And I don't know around here, like I know you knew about the hostages, I know you knew about Mings, I know you were dummy for the hostages, but for the soldiers that died, the Nova, yes, I also know, but the other soldiers that died that are Hebrew speakers, that their family from Israel, that it doesn't really get out, he decided, no, this was not going to happen. Everyone needed to know about Natan. Everyone needed to know what he stood for. Everyone needed to know about his life. Everyone needed to know that what he did, doing the job that he did. So we had a few radio interviews first thing in the morning before we had the Levaya. And I'm not really up for speaking Hebrew that early in the morning. I'm absolutely not. My husband's a little bit better. And so he did that. And then after we'd seen him, we came back, we had a few hours before the Levaya. We did some TV interviews. And I don't know why. Someone like one of my nieces there, she goes, you don't have to do this. And we actually said, yes, we do. Like, I don't know what propelled us. I don't know what we thought or why, but we did. That was what we had to do. And it was very, very hot that day. He was killed on Sunday, the 29th of June. Miracle number, whatever you want to call it, 456. School in Israel finishes on the 30th of June. A Sunday I didn't work. I was at home. My big three were also at home. The school had finished for the big two. And we were at home. Everyone was at home. And it was sort of 2:30 in the afternoon. I wasn't there. I was upstairs with my son on the roof. My daughter went down to answer the door. She came up to me, she goes, Mummy, she said, there's a lady here about tutoring because I'm a teacher and a tutor. So I came down, I didn't recognize this lady. She was in plain clothes. I said, can I help you? So she immediately took hold of Eliora because my daughter lost her boyfriend on the 7th. He was a soldier in Sufa down south. So she hadn't been through this, but she was very close to the family. So she started screaming. And I was like, Eliora, be quiet. She's a bit like it. Be quiet, I can't hear. Then two soldiers came in uniform. So they've obviously got used to the way they're doing things. Someone did not come in uniform, someone plain clothes came in before the other two soldiers came in uniform. And all they were saying was, quietly, beautifully, respectfully, are you the mother of Yisrael Natan? And then they give his ID. And I'm like, yes. My daughter's still shouting, not again, not again, not again. She knew what was going on. I didn't have a clue still. I actually thought they'd come to take my other son to army jail because we hadn't answered various things. But it's like, stuff was done, and I'm like, I didn't understand, and I don't deal with that process. She was dealing with it, and the other two came down, and then we sat on the sofa, and then they said, so then they told us that he'd been killed, and then they said, where's your husband? I said, he was out doing a job for someone. Can you get hold of him? I said, yes. And they said, but don't tell him. So after that news, I then had to pick up the phone to my husband and say, hi darling, where are you? I just spoken to him before, he was out, I've got to go to a client. I said, well, can you just pop home before you go? And thank God over the years he's been trained to just say yes to me, not question why he had to come home in the middle of Sunday afternoon when he's in the middle of a job. So he did, and as soon as he walked in, he knew. And then the most bizarre hour and a half of your life is suddenly played out before you because you have to decide details, shivers, times, what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. You also have to look for a photo of your child. So they've just told you that your child has been killed. You then have to look for a photo. So everyone's going through their phones. Is this a good one or is this a good one? Because that's the picture that's always going to be used on everything, everywhere. So a very surreal set of events, and they do this very, very quickly because they don't want the news to get out before parents or relatives are told. So you have to contact family, you have to be sure that everyone knows before they put out the black and white notice to say what has happened. And we had these three incredible brothers whose job it is to go around and knock on people's doors, who were incredible. A lot of people unfortunately see them as the angels of death. What the army very cleverly does is you're not allowed to see them again. They're with you for the whole week of Shiva. You're not allowed to see them again. You're not allowed to contact them again. and they're not allowed to contact you. You have someone else that comes from the army to be with you afterwards. But for a lot of people, they've been told the worst news in their lives by these people, and it's obviously not a good thing necessarily to see them again. So they don't come. But when they did come, they said there's an ambulance down the road. Do you need it? I said no. Thank God, we're fine. We're okay. Miracle number X amount or whatever it was. The next day was the last day of school for primary school in Israel. I did not have to get up for school. I did not have to go back to teaching for the next 2 months. My kids did not have to get up for school. I didn't have to get anyone up for school because assuming like after a week, you'd sort of probably have to go back to start doing things. Everyone had the time at home to decompress, to sit, to be like, Shiva didn't finish after the week. People still kept coming. And we felt the hug of our communities so intensely during that week. It was amazing, absolutely incredible. Everything was taken care of as it is in a Shiva. Not that I've done it before, but people came from far and wide. And my husband and I are not big, we're small. And then you have to sit on low chairs and you're staring up people's nostrils. There was no way we were sitting for the whole of Shiva. So we stood. The whole idea of Shiva is Lashevet, to sit. We couldn't. We just couldn't. You had to stand. All people wanted to do was give you a hug. It's all people wanted to do. People would come. There's nothing they could say. Give you a hug. And it was like a massive hug. A huge hug. Because in Israel, everyone knows what you're going through. And if they don't know, they did know someone. And the kindness and the compassion and the nechama that we got was incredible. People in Israel, people in general are incredible. Israel's amazing. What was amazing was Natan's friends that came, and we always gave Natan's friends the time of day. Anyone that came, it was like the grown-ups were in front of us. We'd come and see the kids. We'd speak to them. They'd speak to us. We'd get stories. It was. If you could ever think it was a Shiva, it was beautiful. It was. We learned so much about our son that we never knew before, and it was amazing. Miracle number. We've got lost track of it all. That. People came, people that we didn't know. A lady came with a book to say, look, you don't know me. She goes to all the Shivas, apparently, of the fallen soldiers, with a book. The petrol station near her saves the newspapers because she cuts them out. She sticks them in a book for you. And then she gives it to you to say, you know, this is my present to you. Use the book, people can write in it. And we just had people coming. They didn't know us. They didn't know who we were. They just wanted to come and give us comfort, which was beautiful. What I also realized was that when you wake up in the morning and you hear of soldiers that have been killed sort of the night before, it means that they've had a knock on the door in the middle of the night. Miracle number umpty billion. We didn't get a knock on the door in the middle of the night because there's nothing I could think of worse than 3 o'clock in the morning, someone knocking at your door. You have to go down. You get given this news. You have to wake up your kids with this news. You have to phone relatives in the middle of the night in so many different places to inform them of the news that by 6 o'clock in the morning, everyone knows. We didn't get that. It was Sunday afternoon. We could absorb the news. We could be with people. People came to be with us. And we realized so many things along the way that my husband said that to have been given the worst news you could possibly be given, we got given it in the best way possible. Both his parents had been through the Holocaust. They had died. He'd been through Shiva. He'd been through the Royals. And he said, you know, to be given the news that you got given, there couldn't have been a more beautiful way to get it, a more beautiful way to have the whole of Am Yisrael with us. And we realized afterwards, because we didn't look so much at social media during the week, that the news was pushed out, and we realized it got to hear it, make us Natan have lots of friends here. And the news was getting out, and who Natan was, where he came from, what was going on, and we seriously felt that we were doing our job. And my husband now, that's his job. He's decided he's perpetuating Natan's memory, as he says, keeping his name in the land of the living, not the land of the dead, and setting up projects in his name and his memory. Where he was at Mechina in Yerushalayim, we built a pergola. There's a beautiful sort of view. Sorry, what sounds so really not. There's a beautiful view, and that's on the first time we went to see him at Mechina. Mom, you've got to see the view. You've got to see the view. You've got to see the sunset. So I said we should build a pergola exactly where the sunset is, And the kids at the Machina can come and use the pergola to sit there, to chill, and just watch the sunset, because there was only a bench there before. And now there's pergola. Zevi, who's 18, is going to go to Yerachim in August. He's going to start working there. And it's going to be very special for him to be where Nathan was. All he has to do is, he just wants to finish the job Nathan never got to finish. When you only have one boy, you have to be able to sign for them to go into combat. So everyone like, Zevi's, Mom, you're going to sign for me, right? You're going to sign for me, you're going to sign for me. I'm like, yes, darling, don't worry, we can, come to that when we need to. And I realised that by not signing for him to go into combat, it's been like cutting off his right arm. My kids have grown up knowing that their father did the army, their grandfather did the army. We were in Israel and you do the army and that's what you do. And to stop him doing that, it's just not even a question. Please God, there won't be a war by then, and that there will be a little bit more peace, and that he also wants to go down to Israel, he wants to blow up stuff. There's nothing I can do. My youngest also, that's I 16, also wants to go into the army and do combat. She's quite a fierce sort of child, my youngest daughter, and God help you if you come across her, because she's a big thing. And so all my kids speak about Natan whenever they can, thanks to really the split of Avi that decided this was his pivotal moment. His whole life he'd struggled with God, because all his father had told him was the Nazis, how bad it was, where was God, where all of his family were in Auschwitz, all of his family were in the camps. His father was from Poland, his mother was from Hungary. There was nothing left except a sister on both sides. And, his dad had always gone on about, unfortunately, in a very understandably not very positive way about life, about what it was like in Poland, what it was like in the camps, because he was in the camps for 6 years. And Avi never got his mom was gorgeous and loving and never spoke about the Shoah. His dad did. So he never really got a very sort of balanced, which I can understand with Holocaust survivors' kids, sort of view of what was going on. And he decided that this was his pivotal moment. If ever God was showing him who he was with all of these miracles all around us, this was his time. So that was it. Avi was on board. That was it. God had sent him this challenge. This was it. This is what he was going to do. And really and truly, it's what we want to do is perpetuate Natan's memory, the good that he had with his friends, that his friends had with him, all the stories that we still kept being heard that we still don't know, which is wonderful. The kids that come to visit us we had our first Yom HaZikaron, so every first this year is a bit strange. The first Yom HaZikaron, and Talia was in school, and there's obviously a lot of ceremonies in Israel, and someone in her school was talking about their cousin that had fallen. And Talia came in furious. Why did they not ask me to speak? My brother, why are they getting someone whose cousin fell? Like, it's not the same. I said, it turns out maybe like they felt that within the first year, she spoke on October the 7th about Natan, that maybe it was enough. No, why? Why would it be enough? Why would I not want to? I was like, Talia, darling, you've really got to give other people like a chance to talk and other people. So she was not happy, but this is Avi's example that he has set by going out and speaking about Natan in various places all over the world, here, schools, whatever. And that's all my kids want to do too. They want to speak about Natan. Zevi doesn't speak so much. I see more on social media what he's doing. He posts about Natan. He posts when he misses him about the bike, about the electric bike that he has, about the fun that we had with Natan, even though Natan would bully him mercilessly at home. It was still his big brother. It was his big brother, and he misses him. And we just feel very honoured and blessed to be in the situation that we are in, with the circumstances that we were given. And honestly, that we cannot praise Army Israel enough. Doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you're on, which end of the religious spectrum you're on, people are amazing. Jewish people are amazing the world over. And all that we need is to come to us together. Is my husband talks about Achdut. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. If we all come together and it's very hard to put aside differences. It's maybe just easy just to not talk about them, but just to come together as a people and a nation we are so much stronger together than we are apart. That's why October the 7th happened. Everyone around us saw how weak we were in Israel, how much fighting and demonstrations there were going on. And they saw, that's it, we can go in, we can demolish them. And as Abi said, we were so lucky. October 7th could have happened on 3 different fronts. Gaza happened, but because Sinwar decided, well, he was going to go ahead of everyone else, they'd all decided they were going to come in from Yudah Shomron, they were going to come in from Gaza, and they were going to come in from Lebanon. 3 fronts they would have come in from. They would have been in Tel Aviv, we would have been decimated. There would have been fires burning across Israel. As much as you can and can't see God in the picture, we were being looked out for. We were being looked out for, and we still believe we are, without a doubt, across the board. And we just want to tell everyone as a Jewish person has the hugest responsibility just to really get along with the next Jewish person, that to come together as a group, to be as one, and to spread life, joy, happiness, because that's what this world needs. You know, when the darkness comes in, we are the light will always push out the darkness. You light one candle, that one candle can light up a whole room. Never mind the darkness that surrounds it. So this is our message, that we are going forward, is to be together, to be the light in the dark, to not be worried about everyone else around us, but keep going as we are as Jews, to really put our message forward that we are nice people. We're a nice people, we can get along, and we can do amazing things when we work together. So thank you.
Does anyone want to ask me anything? Questions?
Yeah, before the video, do you want to ask questions now before the video?
I don't know.
Anyone? Anybody online? Anybody on Zoom with us have any questions? We have got a video that Sam has got that we're going to share now. But just before, if there's anybody that has any questions, a time
So,
is
yeah.
now.
We have no regrets going to Israel. Our kids have the most incredible growing up around Israel with the freedom that they have. Even when we were there for Tzukei time in 2014. And I used to say to the kids, because there's a law in Israel that you can cross the road by yourself at the age of 9. So at 9, you basically get the freedom of the world. And I didn't have to worry because I knew any other person on the street would worry for my children. For the good and the bad, slightly too interfering and not, but everyone there worries for everyone else. And I said to the kids, if there's going to be a siren and you're out on your bike, I said you can just go into any building. Any building can go into their bomb shelter, their building will be open, and if you're not going in, someone will drag you in. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no way they will let you be out on the street when there's a siren. And experiences are second to none. We live in Ranana, we are 15 minutes from the beach. One of my kids loves surfing. Natan would go on bike rides here, there, and everywhere, up and down the coastline, whatever. I get pictures of Zevi like sunset on one beach, sunrise on another beach. It's the most incredible place for kids to grow up. It's the most incredible place for kids to be. It's hard, no doubt about it. It's a hard place. People are hard, and my husband, who grew up in Sweden and very sort of with European manners and everything else, does not understand why people don't say please and thank you more often. I'm like, darling, this is a country that is scarred by war, which we understand now. He still doesn't understand. He still says please and thank you. He doesn't understand why other people can't. But he said, you're surrounded by Arabs. You cannot wait, to let someone go in line. You have to be hard. Like the Sabbath, that they call it, hard and quickly on the outside, soft on the inside. You have to be hard. People will walk all over you otherwise, and that's why people are. And no, we have no regrets. I think my parents do, but we don't. And people are incredible. People are incredible. My kids are incredible. And we just had so much love from around the world. We went to speak in St. John's Wood with Douglas Murray. And now Douglas Murray is my favourite person in the world. He'll message Douglas Murray, he'll message Richard Kemp, also an amazing friend of Israel. And Burnt Oak Boy, I don't know if anyone's on social media, Instagram. So he wrote an article, someone forwarded us the article comparing Glastonbury just happened, and there was that guy on stage singing Death to the IDF. He compared it to Nottingham. We didn't know this boy from Northwest London who'd gone out to fight in the army. He compared, the ridiculousness of Glastonbury. These kids just like chanting stuff they didn't know about. And now Arby's best friend with him as well. You can see him and contact him. Goes to see him and visit him as well. So this is Avi. This is Avi when he's on a mission. This is what he's going to do. This is it. This is his life's work. So you feel very honoured, really, really honoured. Joe, anyone else online with a question? No, it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Is there a code for the register to the lecture?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Wait a second.
What is A? Or talk about or
She said good things. She said most
so
of
it's
it.
just about who you are.
Or I'm Summer. So me and Idan, we went nothing in school in high school. And we're in the same friend group that we're friends with today. Our friend group. And yeah, I think she summed up most of it like so like she summed up most of it, but like we do know nothing from the other side, from like the friend side, unless we saw him from like the home side and how they knew him. And yeah, like she said, in school he was there for the social, he wasn't there for the learning, let's say that. But we always loved having Nathan when he came to school. Like it was, like she said, like it was fun to see him and everyone was excited to see him, and like you just knew Nathan was going to be there. It was going to be a great time. Like it was always going to be a chill and it was going to be fun. He had like a lightness about him. It was never heavy with him. Like you feel like, oh, Nathan's there. No, it was a lightness. Always going to be fun. Going to be joking around. He was always a joker. Which was insane. And then we really saw him like in China, like she said, like become like it was kind of like he started like finding his purpose. Because we did feel like in school he was a bit lost. Yeah, and then he loved Mechina and we would hear about it all the time, and he would come home and he would love it, and then he drafted. And then there was like his peak. Like he would come home and out of all our friend group, and most of our friend group is in combat, like the guys and the girls, and everyone's been fighting and everyone's been in this war. And out of everyone, he would be the most time in Gaza for weeks on end. He would come home and he wouldn't complain. Like we wouldn't hear him complaining, oh, it's so long, oh, the food's not good, oh, this. No, he was just like, be there with us, be happy. Like he would, like, we never heard something bad about the army. Like he's suffering and we all complain, we all going through it, like we all were there, and like, but he would never. Like he always had a positive look at it and he loved it, and he would always be so excited to tell us he did this, he did that. Like which I think when you really afterwards you realize how positive he was about it. Yeah, and I think like also like when it all happened and everything, we were like also trying to think of like the line for the stickers and everything, and like what sums them up. And so we really debated between live like there's no tomorrow and smile, because well, Nathan was known for his smile, like his huge, beautiful smile, that just made everyone else smile in the room. And we settled at the end on to live like there's no tomorrow, because that's how we lived. Like, and that's something that as also a friend group, we've like decided to take on with us to live every single day. Like it's our today's the day. Like and that's how we live. Like we always say, like how did he know that like he has to live like till the end and not listen to the rules and do what he wanted to do and have the most fun in the world? And now we say thank God that's what he did, because he really lived a full and he enjoyed every single day of his life. So that's something we're also trying to really take with us and spread. Yeah.
So I'm not that good at speaking English. But the only thing that I think is the most important thing that you can take from Natan is his smile. He would take everything بتشيل
Chill.
yeah
But chill.
and it's just amazing to see that someone can, like, he wouldn't care. He would just like do whatever he thought, and it's amazing how easy he was with everything. And also one more thing is when he passed, as they asked a lot of people what was Natan for you, and so many people said he was one of my best friends. And it's crazy that like tens of people say he was my best friend. I mean, it's crazy. He was really one of my best friends, and I met he was such a loving person.
So that was also the thing that we got
Thank
after he died, that everyone was saying he made me feel like I was the only person in the room. And so many people came up to us to tell us that afterwards. And I said to my husband, I said, why do we have to hear about all these amazing things after he died? My husband said, that's the way it's meant to be. That's the way it's meant to be, to make you feel comforted afterwards. That's how, because if you hear about all the amazing things someone's done when they're alive, it's wonderful. But then after they're not there anymore, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear the stories. You want to hear how they were outside the house, outside the family. And he was a great friend. And I really, really think that all of his friends they have an incredible friend group. Incredible. But both with friends here, when he was at school here at the Independent, and in school in Israel, and at Mechina, and in the army. I mean, when we have get-togethers, it's incredible. All the kids come. All the kids come, and it's so wonderful to see everyone. And in the beginning, it was quite hard for me. It has to be said that someone made for us bottles of beer, because Natan, there was a certain type of beer that Natan liked, and there was his sticker on the beer that said, I don't remember what it says, smart, whatever it is, it's on the beer. It's like, my son's face is on the beer bottle. Like that for me was like really hard to get around. Like this is what it is. It's opening a beer, it's talking about Natan, but only with the good, only with fun, only with laughter, only with smiles. And I think that's really what it's about when like all the friends get together, and it's just wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. So he left a great legacy, which we hope to continue.
Amen. Thank you both for sharing. I'd like to take my life. Come on. Beautiful. I remember names. Come on. Thank you. Okay. So we are now just going to share, we hope, on both screens. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Do a little bit of and then
Natan grew up in a warm, loving home in North London, a home filled with laughter, with faith, and with love for Israel. Even as a little boy, his smile could light up a room.
He went to a Zionistic school where he learned about Israel, its history, its language, its heart. And that heart was his compass, always pointing home.
לראות שטוב, תראה כמה טוב, בלי להביט שוב לאחור, לבחור נכון.
When we made Aliyah in 2012, he came to Israel, a true London boy, stepping into the sunlight of Ra'anana. School wasn't always his thing, but friendships, those he treasured.
He had a way with people. He could make anyone feel they mattered. Later in Mechina, in the desert of Yerucham, he found joy, the kind that comes with purpose and belonging.
That's where he decided he wanted to be a fighter, like his father, like his grandfather, to defend Israel. He said, I want to bring the hostages home.
He joined the combat engineers, became a sniper, a drone expert, a leader. But more than that, he became a brother to those who served besides him.
He never complained, never sought attention. He just did what had to be done, quietly,
לא,
faithfully.
ההורים שלי בחו"ל
And
כרגע.
then came the knock on the door.
מה?
The one every parent
אנגליה.
prays will
Le-
never come.
On June 29th, 2025, our world stopped. Natan was gone, killed by an anti-tank grenade. But by taking the full force of it, he saved 16 other soldiers. 16 families were spared because of him.
Only after his death did we truly see how deeply he had touched people. The stories poured in from friends, commanders, parents. Each one spoke of his kindness, his humor, his light.
Natan never judged, he embraced everyone. That smile, that pure, unmistakable smile, it's with us still.
Our little boy from London became a hero for all of Am Yisrael. His spirit, brave, humble, and full of love, continues to guide us.
Though we miss him beyond words, his light, his legacy will never fade.
There we got there. We got there. And, whichever way, these are the times that you just say, "Oh," and he says, hang on a minute, a little bit of patience, a little bit of patience. So we're all here, and I just wanted to say thank you for sharing, and hopefully that part of what all of us can do, will be able to give you and Avi and the kids a little bit of nachama. And I think that right now at this time is probably the best thing that we can do, is just to remind ourselves always, just get rid of the judgment, and let's just remind ourselves who we are, what we're doing here, and really why we are here at the moment. And that this what it's going to be, Yom Yerushalayim next year is going to be when we are going to be ready to be Mafresh. I really forgot, and then I had to think of my. I think I'm not muted. I'm not muted. You know what I mean? Okay. Lisa said she hasn't breakfast yet. But we have a little package. I'm not going to show you really yet what's in the package. Yeah. But there is there. Here we go. Yeah, which is going to come to you tomorrow before you leave, because there are still some more added things that come into the bag, and they are a bunch of letters that have been written, and there are still some people that are going to continue to write, so they can all be put together, and they have to actually be packed up properly. So you're not allowed to get that yet. But I just felt that right now, tonight was also an appropriate time, because this is the safest headed that has been personally painted. Nobody will ever have the same cover again for more than one reason. And it's actually painted by Neat there at the back. And one of the things that we have taken on together with Cards of Care and to Helen and Amisra Khan and Yona and putting together as a part of an Am Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, just reminding everybody that we are here for all of us together, for all of you. And also just before, thank you to friends for sharing, because we know the place. And you know what, I'm like looking at these girls, I'm thinking, I know you, but like, where do I know you from? And just because I had this sort of meeting about these gorgeous girls at the Shane's house when Rabbi Ferris and Shelley were here a few weeks ago. But this stands for you and for Avi, and it is and that's why I wanted to know how you want your name written on there, but you can't otherwise. Wow. You see, she had the Aleph because otherwise some is drugs. So, you know, you never know all the different things that you are going to do. But it is going to get wrapped for you before you actually receive it. I just really wanted you to have it here tonight so you could just get a little picture of it. It's also this Shabbat is the 29th of year, and it's a very special day for us to daven for our children. We can do this together. Some people say not to say it only on Shabbos, but since Silver said today, you could do it well yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So tonight as well. And if I have my phone, then I'll actually count from there as well. But before we actually do that, one of the things that we talk about in visualization is part of what we really want, and that is to imagine ourselves at a place we were going to be with the Beis HaMikdash. And being Erev Shabbos, it's a perfect time now to do a quick Hafrashas Challah that each of us can answer our name. And I'm just going to add that even if we aren't in America, and Trump asked all American Jews to keep Shabbat this week, we can say even here in England, okay, we all have to put something extra into our Shabbat and our Shabbos. And if there's anybody that anybody knows that would want meals or to help people, you know, to do a little bit more over Shabbos, I think that this one is a very appropriate one to put a little bit of extra effort and energy into. And also, you know, in the name of Yaroni Chitters, who came home, actually my cousins of ours. And when he came home as a surprise, the Shabbat before he fell, he said they sing more Shabbat songs in Gaza. Like Friday night, you have to sing your Shabbat songs. So all these different things, and also Daniel Shimon. And really what we know is that whatever we're going to do is going to not only elevate them, but they have the highest level of Kiddush Hashem, of dying al Kiddush Hashem, really for all of us. But what it does for each and every one of us is reminds us what we have to do. And we have to re-inspire ourselves in order to make ourselves into better people. And that's what it will do for us. That we should always be aware of being able to fill our spaces. Be able to fill our spaces, right? Thank you. Whoops, to fill our spaces, to make sure that we fill our days, to make our days and how we live our days to the fullest is to be mindful of the things that we do in our lives, and just to connect it to where it comes from. So, everybody, I'm going to say, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let's put ourselves in a place for the things that we all know that we want to be praying for each person, for each place, and for each space. And let's together, as you each answer Amen, know that it is your blessing that has been heard, has gone straight up, and this should be for an Aliyah HaNeshamas of Yisrael, Natan ben Avi Basem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu במצווה וציוונו להפיש חלה מן העיסה. Hooray, zu challah. And there's a plus of the mitzvah about precious challah that each and every one of us, our tefillahs should be answered l'tovah. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should look after each and every one of us and bring us to a place of meeting Mashiach very, very, very soon. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysa v'tzivanu al tzviras ha'omer. Hayom shlosha v'arba'im yom shehem shisha shavuos v'yom echad la'omer. Harachmanu yachzir lanu v'yotfis. Amen, Selah. Imagine this piece of challah, which will really look like a real challah. And Be'ezrat Hashem, next chance, Erev Shavuos, because we're going to have Shavuos going into Shabbos. We are all going to be able to take our challahs to the Beis HaMikdash, to give to the Kohanim. And that's why I say practice your challahs now, because we want to be able to wait a man's heart is through his stomach, and when the Kohanim recognize your challahs, they'll say, okay, come on. And then they'll take yours and they'll be able to do our program first. But that's how we have to imagine ourselves. And really through each and every one of you being here, that it should really be as a chus for all of Klal Yisrael. Now, are you collecting for the Eugene? Because I want to send out for the fund that you
Oh, we do have a J-Give that we set up the Nassau Foundation. We are eventually setting up an Amuta, a charity in Israel, and we want to build a mechina, to make it mechina nafai in Natan's memory. But it takes a couple of years before you're allowed to set one up, so we are in the process of, and all of his friends are desperate to be Madrafim.
Okay, so when we are desperate to help the Madrafim, be Madrafim in the places that we'll be able to help in that such. And in the meantime, I'm going to give everybody another opportunity. There are a lot of people here who know what Keren Shabbos is, but if you don't, and some of us already have our pretty tzedakah boxes and don't have to go and pay a lot of money for your tzedakah box, it comes free. But Keren Shabbos is an organization here in London that literally helps people who can't put food into their fridges to have food, and they don't give everything ready cooked. They give them fresh chickens and whatever fresh food just to help people literally pay for their weekly food. So anybody that wants to get one of these boxes, I do need information from you because you just scan it and they'll come and pick it up wherever you live. And I'm not sure about Nana, but okay. But we'll make a plan, and really anybody that will take that now tonight, therefore go. The tzedakah box will be dedicated for yes on the front. Thank you all for being with us. If anybody isn't on any of our information, you can give your name and your email to Dalia, and she'll let you know if we continue to do it in this session. Together we will all be able to do a lot more than we're doing now. And Sam, thank you for sharing. And we should just have a lot of nachas from all of us. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Sally and Andrew and Ben for hosting. Okay.